It's just as important as any other job.
A massive part of my life, daily actually.
It's been established that the arts industry is important. Now, I talk to those working within the industry to get an inside view on the crisis. What is it that you do within the industry, and why are you fighting to save it?
I'm an entertainer, so I started off as a holiday park entertainer for about 10-15 years, and now I run my own entertainment business where I have my own cabaret, magic show, and I also run children's parties. It's creating memories for me, those happy memories which can stick with you for a long time.
Like my full-time job, I'm actually doing support work with people with learning difficulties, so it's a bit different, but I'm the deputy stage manager for Dynamic Theatre, which is a amateur group based in Redditch, but we do like full-scale productions. Stage managers, I think, like the glue of the technical team. You are probably one of the few people within like the whole technical crew, both on stage and off stage, who follow a show sometimes from auditions until the final show.
I support emerging artists in and around the Midlands. I network with bands from the very bottom to the point where they reach the stage of getting contracts with producers and promoters and stuff like that. I've got several platforms that I promote bands on, radio being the biggest one, and also using social media to network with promoters, local venues, and different people around the world, really. It's raw, it's real, people are genuine, people want to support each other, especially in the scene that I'm involved in the West Midlands. It seems to be a sort of small, tight community. That's the feel of it, but there's hundreds of people involved. And I was kind of hooked on it, really.
I do a mix of things in the industry. I'm currently doing a VA honours in creative lighting control, but prior to that, I spent 3.5 years working for a rental company in the Midlands, a rental production company called Clear Sound Productions. I'm also freelancing a bit at the moment. I just love listening to music and I love the atmosphere. And working on festivals and concerts and stuff, you can never replicate that kind of feeling anywhere else.
What are the issues within the industry and the impact this is having?
For a lot of people, I think theatre is such an escape, and to have that go, I mean, like theatre is possibility, and for that to go for some people, both for people who work in theatre and live and breathe it, but also just for people who go and see a show every once in a while, it's a massive thing just to be cut out. Finished college, did have plans to try and find jobs within the industry. I think on a larger scale, I have so many friends who are already in the industry who are now working in jobs that are nothing to do with theatre, which is horrible when you've trained for that your whole life and it's just not an option. The majority of techies are freelancers, and I know they have not had the same support as someone who is employed full-time by a company.
The arts industry as a whole is massively important, and actually COVID has proven that. Whether I'll be able to stay in the industry is dependent now on how long this is going to last. Cinemas are shutting down, ways of people being able to interact with the arts, theatres are closing down. So although people are now more aware of the importance of the arts, come out of COVID, there may be less opportunity for them to actually experience it.
Financially, massively, they're in the UK, we haven't really been given a fair chance during the past year and a half. A lot of people aren't able to get income from it. There was stuff on the news the other week about not being granted permission to go and tour elsewhere, especially for bands and people who that's their life, they tour and they perform. I get that everyone's got to remain safe, but there's no backup plan from the government, which I think's left a massive hole in a lot of people's, not only their pockets, but their mindset, their ambition, and their forward plan. You've got to be quite high up the pecking order to a full load of people back interested in you as soon as this is over, which is quite sad to think about, really, because a lot of the bands that I've worked with have worked really hard to even just start on the ladder. They've grafted a lot more than other bands have, and they're probably going to be left out, to be honest.
In general, like, the arts industry is a huge industry within the UK in terms of economically. So that in itself is a big deal, but also just the effect it has on the general public, in the sense of, without the arts industry, then the world would be rather boring. See, the economics suffer, which is very widespread, and it even goes beyond the arts, because the arts is a staple within other industries. So, you know, when the arts suffers, hospitality suffers, travel suffers, because people aren't flying or using trains to go to concerts and to go to see shows. So suffering in a mental health sense helps students, because I don't think people have realised that we're currently suffering effects now, but the students that are in their third years at the moment, they're about to come out of the industry. I've got a few friends in particular actually that are currently considering just leaving the industry, and I feel like a lot of them aren't getting the attention they need to be able to help them out. And if they end up leaving the industry, we won't feel the effects now, but we'll feel the effects in 3 or 4 years' time. You've got hundreds of thousands of people currently out of work who just really want to work, and instead we're kind of getting a response from the government that is very much lackluster. Especially here in the UK, we say that we're a country of culture, and you've got things like, for example, the Royal Shakespeare Company and things like that. Shakespeare is a huge part of the curriculum in schools, and without all of the arts, we don't have any of that. And you end up removing a whole section of people's education right from primary school through to university. When the arts are there, people don't think about it, they just enjoy it. But without the arts, people would really notice.
Learning about representation, LGBT people plus, just all this stuff you're constantly learning and you don't realise it. And I think if the government don't want to fund that, then what is that saying about what it thinks of the country in general?
What can be done to save the industry?
The theatre, I think, is going to come back very strongly. There's nothing like live performance, shared experience with the audience. There is nothing like seeing a band live. And we've been waiting for a long time, and it takes a lot of patience. And especially when you don't get a lot of help, you don't have the patience. You might have the patience for it, but you don't have the funding for it. So, but that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, to a lot of smaller businesses. It's just whether the venues will still be there when it comes back. The industry as a whole is going to have to adapt.
We need to keep flooding the media and actually show that you're trying to stop theatre people from having a voice. Yeah. We're the loudest people in any room. There's been a lot of symbols going around of ghost lights. There's a superstition, tradition in theatres that even when a theatre goes dark, there is one light left on stage. I think some people say it's sort of for ghosts, others it's sort of a safety thing so you don't fall off the edge of the stage. It's symbols like that are keeping people going at the minute. It's such a resilient industry, but at the minute you can only be so resilient.
I think everyone's got to remain positive as much as they can. We mentioned earlier the community, which is a very strong community like no other. People have got to be reminded about that.
It's very specifically trying to speak to DCMS and the government and trying to get the government support to keep fighting. Just help spread the word. That is a huge deal, is just spreading the word. Share posts from things like Light It in Red. We have different campaigns out there, charities that people could donate to. We've got the Backup Tech charity is the main one that we're currently supporting, which brings money into our industry to support those that are currently in dire need.
Every interview that was done in this film was conducted over Zoom. All intercuts were recorded pre-coronavirus. With a light at the end of the tunnel coming out of lockdown, keep fighting, keep sharing, and keep talking about the arts industry.
The Light It in Red campaign is a campaign where we essentially started off by just lighting buildings red to show the public that we are in, as we call, red alert. We're in a dire situation and we need that help. And we've since, through the help of We Make Events, managed to make it global. In raising that awareness, we are asking the government for help.